Hello, hello. This is Sabrina Amina, and I'm the host of the Feelings Pod. This is a podcast where I talk about feelings and how we can mindfully navigate the emotions that are ever present in our day-to-day lives. And at the end of each episode, I share a mindfulness practice. Thank you for joining me. Today's episode is about shame and using shame as kind of a compass for the deep inner work, what we like to call shadow work in the spiritual circles. Shame comes up all the time, right? Like we do things that we regret, or we'll do things that make us feel like, oh, I'm feeling kind of ick about myself because of this decision I made, or this choice, or something I said, or even we can even feel shame about things that, like, about thoughts, about emotions that come up. And so what's really helpful about shame is that when we're mindfully paying attention to it when it comes up, it really can be a guide to helping us turn our attention towards some of our really deep wounds. And in my own life, there's an experience of shame I had. Actually, the very last time I recorded a podcast episode, I can't even listen to it. It was the episode I recorded back in August, and then I stopped recording podcast episodes for several months. Now, there were a couple of factors for that, but I think one of my big stumbling blocks was, oh my goodness, the last episode I recorded was so sloppy and terrible, and I still can't go back and listen to it because I'm afraid of how much cringe will come up for me. Actually, I think that's exactly what I'll do when I finish recording this, is listen to that last episode. So the key with shame is turning toward the cringe. So that is something we try to avoid and are like, I don't want to look at that. I don't want to touch that. I don't want to feel the feeling that comes when I think about that. And as I tell the story, like as I talk about the thing I feel shame around, first of all, it kind of softens the shame. I'm like, I don't know why I'm feeling so much shame around this thing. And it allows me to kind of question the emotion. It allows me to examine it and approach it with curiosity instead of judgment. A few episodes back, I talk about the importance of leaning into curiosity when judgment comes up. And I think a big part of our shame is we're very harshly judging ourselves when we have moments of shame. So a powerful antidote to our shame is turning towards it with curiosity, compassion, kindness. Imagine someone, even a little child who's feeling really upset or embarrassed, and how would you treat someone like that? You with softness and tenderness, and you'd offer reassurance. At least that's how I would treat a child who's struggling in an emotional way. And so we all have this inner child that lives within us, and the shame a lot of times comes from wounds from our childhood, like deep wounds, things that we don't really consciously necessarily remember where they come from or how they came about or why these are the things that bring up shame in us. But so turning towards that inner child who maybe was shamed for speaking up or being too loud or saying the wrong thing or, behaving inappropriately, quote unquote inappropriately, whatever that means. That's where the medicine is. The medicine is really facing those shameful feelings. So, for example, as I turn towards that shame feeling, I'd ask myself, oh, well, what is it that I'm feeling shameful about? So I guess I would say I didn't do it well enough. I put something out there. Talking about feelings is vulnerable. Talking about, things that are close to your heart and your person are, can be a little bit scary. And so this touches on a couple of things. So this idea that, I need to do things perfectly. I can't show anyone anything unless it's good and done right. And so turning toward that kind of limiting belief, I get to let it go a little bit. I get to ask myself, turn towards inquiry and be like, is that true? Is it really true that I can't express myself imperfectly? And then I realize, oh, that's okay. What I did is perfectly fine. In the event where, the shame comes from really owning that you've done something wrong or hurt somebody and you're feeling shame about that. So for me, for example, I get really overcome with shame when I shout at my child, when I lose my patience with her and I kind of freak out. That's really the place that feels like, oh my God, I'm being such a horrible parent. Like this poor kid, she doesn't deserve my outbursts and my upset. And in those moments, I have to take a step back, because the more I kind of fall into that shame spiral, the harder it is to move into repair, right? So when you've made an error and maybe you're not ready to see it or accept that you've made an error, in order to kind of avoid the shame, we dig our heels in even deeper. Our defenses go up. So instead of kind of owning the harm we've caused, we put up our defenses and justify the behavior. And instead of turning towards the guilt and shame and owning why, perhaps what I did was not right, we try to make it right in our minds. So I think in those moments, I've realized, before doing this work, and even I think thankfully as a parent, I've been able to, I've been deeply enmeshed in this kind of work. So I'm able to repair and respond and in my human moments recognize, my errors and, offer an apology, comfort my child. But in other situations, like perhaps in high school, I remember I was feeling really jealous about a friend of mine, and I can't remember exactly the context, but she said something and I responded in like just a mean way. And prior to that, I had always been like we'd had like a kind, tender, affectionate relationship. But I responded in this like really mean way. And I remember her kind of being taken aback by it and hurt. And, we never spoke again. I lost a friendship. Like my shadow and it cost me my friendship. That kind of jealousy and subsequent anger towards this person really led to actions that, I guess, thinking back now, I remember feeling shame about it, but not necessarily being able to engage with the shame. I remember kind of being like, oh, that wasn't really a great way to act, but that's where it stayed. I, felt shame about behaving in a way that led to the demise of a friendship. So I say that I compare like an experience of shame from when I was a teenager to an experience of shame now as an adult, to kind of highlight the difference between turning towards shame and just not really knowing what to do with it. So we avoid it or we push it aside. Now, for like experiences far in the past that I remember feeling shame about, even those experiences I can turn towards and offer myself forgiveness. I think forgiveness is another really potent remedy for shame, and saying, yeah, that wasn't great behavior, that wasn't such a good thing to do, but I was acting from a place of wounding, a place of hurt, and I forgive myself for not knowing better. I forgive myself for having the reaction I did, even though it led to some hurt feelings. So I think that shame can be a really big stumbling block for us. It could be like a huge block for us, or it can be this really powerful healing portal for us if we learn how to mindfully turn towards it. If we learn how to observe the discomfort that comes with the feeling of shame, and instead of pushing it away. Because we know that whenever we push any kind of emotion away, it doesn't disappear, it just kind of festers, and for the purpose of our highest growth and development and well-being, as much as possible, we want to shed light on the places that are painful, are uncomfortable. So on that note, I invite you to find a comfortable position. If you're not able to practice the mindfulness meditation in this moment, you can always pause and come back at another time. So as you settle in, allow the eyes to close and really tune into the sensations in your body. We'll start with a brief body scan, noticing where your feet are, noticing the support of the ground beneath you. Bring your attention up to your ankles. Take a deep breath. Let it go. Continuing to bring the attention up the shins and the calves. Take a deep breath and let it go. Notice your knees, the tops of your thighs, the backs of your thighs up to your seat, noticing the support beneath you, really grounding in at the hips. Take a deep breath in and let it go. Bringing your attention to the belly. Take a deep breath here and let it go. And bring your awareness up towards your chest and your heart space. Breathe in and breathe out. Noticing the upper arms and shoulders, your forearms, and both your hands, perhaps wiggling the fingers. Take a deep breath in and sigh it out. Bring your attention to the throat. Breathe in and out. And bring your attention to your face. And just allow all the muscles in your face to soften. Allow all the expression in your face to just melt away. Breathe in and breathe out. Bring your attention to your third eye, the space right between your eyebrows. Take a deep breath here and let it go. And bring the attention to the crown of your head, drawing up one big deep breath, drawing it up from the bottoms of your feet all the way up through your body, up, up, up to the crown of the head. And give a big exhale. Now, as you continue breathing, bring your attention to your thoughts. Notice the quality of your thoughts in this moment. Are you thinking about memories? Are you making plans? Or are you able to be fully present right here, right now, to the sound of this practice? are you able to tune in fully to the present moment, your breath, your body, and if you happen to catch a thought, notice it. Observe the thought with curiosity. Label it. Perhaps the thought is a plan. Perhaps the thought is an event in the past. Perhaps the thought is something coming up in the future. And notice if there's an emotion that comes up with the thought. And get really curious here. Notice if the thought brings up the emotion. What does that emotion feel like? Where does that emotion live in your body in this moment? See if you can really tune in and breathe deeply into that space. Take a deep breath in and let it go. And if you have a pretty neutral thought, feel free to just continue breathing in and out. And if the thought brings up emotional activation, see if you can just breathe into the emotion and notice if there are any changes or movement in the body as you breathe into it. If you notice the emotion in a particular spot, breathe in here and exhale. And just observe. Take a deep breath in and let it go. And just notice. Come back to the breath again. Inhale and exhale. Observe the thoughts once again. Notice if you're able to be more present or if the thoughts continue to arrive. There is no wrong answer. We're simply observing what's here right now. And remembering that each time a thought arises, we can approach with curiosity and compassion. We can observe emotion and follow its path in the body. Your breath is always available to you. And as we close this practice, take note of any emotions that are present now. Take a deep breath in. Let it go. And as you open your eyes and come back to the room, offer yourself a bit of love and gratitude for offering yourself some time to practice. Thank you so much for practicing with me. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.